Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. My name is Mrs. Aksa Kamal, Assistant Professor of English from Government Degree College for Women, Dubai Mahal Road, Bahawalpur. This is our online class for BS English, and the topic we have selected for today is construction of a sentence, or to see how a sentence structure is built. So let's start our topic. As regards construction, the sentence has two parts, the subject, the predicate. So we analyze the two basic parts of a simple sentence of English. The subject. What is the subject? A word, phrase, or clause about which something is said is called the subject. You can say that subject is the beginner of a sentence. In the very beginning, whatever the noun or a pronoun comes, that is called the subject of a sentence. And the verb gives us information about what the subject does. And the next component of the sentence is the predicate. And what is predicate? Let's see. The part or statement which tells something about the subject is called the predicate. An example for better understanding. Sentence is, the girls are singing a melodious song. In the beginning we see the noun phrase is the girls, and what is being said about the girls is in the predicate. Are singing a melodious song is a complete predicate about this subject. This whole part is giving us a piece of information about this subject. When we see the internal structure of the predicate, we see that it contains the helping verb, the verb, and the object. What are the functions of each of these components? Let's see. What the part the helping verb plays in a sentence. They are used as helpers to clarify the meanings of the tense. They are placed before the verb. So helping verbs you are very much familiar: is, am, are, was, were, has, have. These are all the helping verbs which require main verb after them. And these are used as helpers to the main verb, and the helping verbs clarify the meaning of the tense. And what is their place of position? They are placed before the main verb. And now next component is the verb. This is a part of speech which denotes a state or action. So the verbs tell us action in a sentence. Let's see the examples. He met me on the way. He met me. He is a subject. Met me on the way is the predicate of the subject, giving us the complete information about him. So here, he is a subject, met is the verb, me is an object, and on the way is the prepositional phrase. And the next example is, I am writing an article. This example gives you the sentence construction with the helping verb and followed by main verb. I am writing an article. I is subject, am writing, am is the helping verb which is positioned before the main verb. So I am writing an article, a complete predicate of I. And the third component of the predicate is the object. What is an object? Let's see. A word or phrase governed by a verb or preposition, or which receives the action. Examples are, Anwar is playing hockey. Number 2 is, he is writing a book. So now see, in the light of this definition, let's analyze these two examples. So what is the object? A word or phrase governed by a verb. So what is verb out of these sentences? Is playing. Here is the verb phrase, is playing. And what the action of playing is being performed on a hockey. So hockey is the subject, hockey is the object. Anwar subject, is playing verb phrase, hockey as an object. And in the next example, He is writing a book. He, subject, is writing helping verb and main verb, and this verb or the action of writing is being performed on a book. So, book is the object. Hence, a sentence structure completes subject, verb, and an object. Dear students, after analyzing the sentence structure, let us see how many kinds of a sentence are there. Number one is the simple sentence, and simple sentence is the construction we have just seen. Simple sentence, and then comes compound sentence, then comes complex sentence, and after the complex sentence, there comes a compound complex sentence structure. Now we start with the very first kind of the sentence, that is simple sentence. It consists of one basic verb and expresses one thought. Example is, it rained heavily yesterday. I live in Multan. In both of these examples, we have watched that there is one single subject with one single action. The next type is that of the compound sentence. It contains more than one coordinating clause joined by coordinating conjunctions. It expresses two or more thoughts. Dear girls, I tell you that a compound sentence is a sentence that has at least two independent clauses joined by a comma, semicolon, or conjunction. An independent clause is a clause that has a subject and verb and forms a complete thought. And if I give you example, the example is, this house is too expensive and that house is too small. In the very first part of the sentence, we see that this house is too expensive. An independent clause is this, and in our class we have revised it many times, the concept of clauses and the components of clauses and phrases, what these units are, what are their components. I think you know it well now. So this house is too expensive. This is one independent clause. And coordinating conjunction, the conjunction that links two independent clauses, is called a coordinating conjunction because it coordinates between the two independent clauses. And the next clause is, that house is too small. So this is an example of the complex sentence. And the commonly used conjunctions for joining the independent sentences are for, and, nor, but, and or. And in this compound sentence, we have seen that the conjunction used out of these is and. The next type of sentence, which we are going to read it, complex sentence. Now we see how complex sentence is different from the above compound sentence. Complex sentence, it consists of one principal clause. Principal mean one main independent clause and one or more subordinate clauses. It also expresses two or more thoughts. So, it is different from the compound sentence, as we have seen that in the compound sentence, two parallel sentences are joined. Or we can say that two independent clauses are joined together by coordinating conjunctions. And in the complex sentence, we see that there is one principal or main clause, and the next clause is the independent clause or the subordinate clause. Let's see. God helps those who help themselves. Number 2, I said that he was a faithful friend. In the first example, we see that independent or the main clause is God helps those. And the next is who help themselves. God helps those is the main clause, whereas who helps themselves, this clause is dependent for its meaning on the main clause. The next example is I said that he was a faithful friend. I said is the main clause, and that he was a faithful friend is the dependent clause. Now we move to the fourth structure of a sentence, that is compound complex structure. Of all sentence constructions, compound complex sentences are typically the longest and most involved. This is because they combine two different types of sentences into one long sentence. When I say the two different types of sentences, I mean to say that two different types mean one type is the compound type and the other type is the complex type, and it combines the compound and the complex types together. So compound and complex types are combined in a compound complex structure. To be specific, a compound complex sentence unites a compound sentence with a complex sentence. Let's see the example. Stephen, feeling terrible for what he had done, fell on his knees and cried. Now we out of this structure is this long complicated structure. We separate the main clauses and the dependent clauses. Number one is Stephen fell on his knees. And next is Stephen cried. Stephen fell on his knees and Stephen cried. These are the two independent clauses. These are the two principal clauses which have their own existence, which have their own complete sense and meanings. Neither of these are dependent on each other. And the next part of this sentence is feeling terrible for what he had done. We see that this piece of information is the dependent clause because it does not have its independent existence. It is rather used for the clarification of Stephen's fall. Students, we have finished our lesson and I hope that you would have understood it. Now take care. Allah Hafiz.